This conference will now be recorded.
So let me see if I can share my screen. And what I have pulled up are the projects that have been submitted. So we have group 2, and they are making a doll display case. Can you see this okay?
Yes.
Okay. It's got some benefits for this display case. Protection from damage caused by dust, spills, fingerprints, lights, or simply falling on top of dolls. Features a glass case, a solid base, a doll stand, and a microfiber cloth. But the doll's not included. And then as we move to T3, they're making a phone stand. And it's a keychain phone stand. So it keeps your hands free. I'm not sure what the key has to do with this. Small and compact, flat, angle for optimal visibility. The stand is 100% customizable. So I have 2 projects. Those are due. That's the first 25 points. And we should begin the work on part 2 next week. We'll begin. And so you already see included in the assignment. So that's the first 25 points. Then we move to the next 25. You're only supposed to be submitting 1. So I'm going to take off a point for every team where more than 1 for each extra submission I take off for that. Okay, let's look at where we are and where we'll be going. And we begin talking about direct or variable costing, direct or variable costing versus absorption costing. And the key thing we learned in our discussion is that we no longer are preparing the income statement based on materials costs, less selling expenses, product cost versus period cost. But we're moving to a variable costing format where we're looking at the variable costs and the fixed costs. So in planning, we look at the variable cost and fixed cost. A variable cost varies directly with production. A fixed cost remains the same. And so with your projects, you're going to have to tell me what are the variable costs and what are the fixed costs. And so what we're working on today and through next week, you will have to be able to uh, adapt this to your project. You got the same thing we're doing now, you've got to do on your project. And we set our income statement changes. On the traditional absorption costs of the sales, less cost of goods sold, less selling and administrative expenses gives us net income. But when we move to variable costing, it's sales less the variable product cost gives us the variable uh, management margin, manufacturing margin, less the variable expenses gives us that contribution margin, less the fixed expenses, overhead and selling administrative expenses, gives us the net income. And these two numbers will be the same if there are no inventories. But if we have inventories, and I have an example here, which you don't have to overly be concerned with, but the key thing that you'll see is that because the manufacturing overhead, a part of that is in the inventory. When we do cost of goods sold under absorption costing, the cost of goods sold is higher than in the variable costing. And so the gross profit on the absorption costing, the traditional method, is going to be less than on the contribution margin. And so the net income then is going to be uh, lower because all of the overhead is in the cost over here, only a portion over here. So you just have to realize that, I'm not overly concerned about it, but that, you basically know that as we operate now, the sales less the variable product cost gives us the variable manufacturing margin. Less the variable selling and administrative expenses gives us the contribution margin. And then we have the fixed expenses to give us the net income. Then moving uh, to cost volume profit relationships, CVP. In any business, you need to know, and with your product, your project, and your product, you need to know how many you need to produce to break even. That's the typical thing you need to know. You need to be able to do. If you sell less than that break even quantity, you have a loss. If you sell more than the break even quantity, you have a profit. So you need to know, okay, how many I need to have the break even, and then we'll have loss amounts and profit amounts. And we had that simple example we looked at last time. And we began to look at some key things that we got to work with. First of all, the unit selling price, what the item is going to be sold for, then the unit variable cost. Then we need to know the total fixed cost. And then we calculate a unit contribution margin, a key calculation, and we'll be looking at it shortly. It's simply the selling price minus the unit variable cost. Selling price minus variable cost. And then you have three formulas I told you you needed to memorize at 5, 6, and 7 and know how they operate. Break even, the formula is fixed cost divided by this item in 4, the unit contribution margin. If we're trying to get to a target profit, it's fixed cost plus the target profit divided by the unit contribution margin. If the target loss is going to be the fixed cost minus the target loss divided by the unit contribution margin. So notice your denominator is the unit contribution margin each time, and then fixed costs in here each time. But in 6, we add the target profit to it. In 7, we subtract the target profit from the fixed cost. And once again, that income statement, sales less variable cost contribution margin, less fixed cost net income. Because from now on, except for that one, you got to calculate the quantity. Okay. You've got to calculate the quantities all the time. And I gave you this first option, option 1. We had a selling price of $2,500. a fixed cost of 1,500, excuse me, variable cost of 1,500. We're selling computers, and our fixed cost was 150,000. And what I wanted you to do was to, okay, given this information, you first of all got to calculate the contribution margin. Selling price 2,500 minus the unit variable cost 1,500 gives us a unit CM of 1,000. It gives us a unit CM of 1,000. Then I wanted you to make several calculations. We'll just do the first four for now. If you sell one computer, what would the situation look like? How many you got to sell to produce a loss of 100,000? How many you got to sell to break even? And how many you have to sell to make a profit of 1 million? So it's only 1, 3, 4, and 6 I'm concerned with now. And I told you to have open the spreadsheet, which is what we're going to work on. We're going to work on the spreadsheet. Are there any questions? Does everybody have the spreadsheet open? Because on next class period, at the end of class, you'll have a quiz on this, which you will complete the spreadsheet. So you need to have the spreadsheet open. So we're looking at the sale of one, and as we look at the sale of one, what did we say our selling price was? What is our selling price in our example here? The selling price is 2,500. If I move it over here, move this over this way. So we're looking at if we sell one, what the situation would be. Our selling price is 2,500. Okay, we're just working on this column. And our total variable cost is 1,500. So the product variable cost is 1,500. And our total variable cost is going to be 1,000. And if I subtract selling price reduced by the variable cost, I get a contribution margin of 1,000. Any questions? You should be following along with me. Any questions? Does everybody have this in column one? Are there any questions?
Okay, so wait, you got the product variable cost?
Selling
Is
price was 2,500. I gave you the variable cost of 1,500. All you got to do is put the 1,500 over here.
and
Got
then
it?
the difference is the contribution margin.
Right. Got it?
Thank yeah.
Now I need a fixed cost. And the fixed cost we said was what? 150,000.
100, yeah, I was over
And so our quantity is one. So let's see what's gonna happen. The sales, we're selling only one. So if we sell one and then the selling price is what? 2,500, and our total sales are gonna be 2,500. Our variable cost is that same what? 1,500. So therefore, on the sale of one, the contribution margin is 1,000. But my fixed cost is how much? What's my fixed cost? What are my fixed costs?
150,000.
150,000. So if I sold just one, what's going to be the situation? My loss is going to equal what?
149,000.
How do we get 149,000?
150,000 minus 1,000.
1,000 minus 150,000, right?
Yeah, my bad, I did it backwards.
Let's see, I'm on the wrong line here. Need to be on this line. So just putting in an equation, I'm gonna have the 1,000 minus the 150,000, and so my fixed costs were 150,000. If I sold one, I'm only getting to what? I'm only covering 1,000 of a total 150,000. Any questions?
So fixed cost minus the contribution margin is your net income.
Well, because you only sold one, I wanted to show you one. And this is the first question on your quiz. If you sell one, what's your loss going to be? Okay.
Oh, the quantity.
Now, the second question, of course, is how many you got to sell to break even? How many do you have to sell to break even? So that's our third column, break even. And notice the top information is the same. It's not changing because we didn't change anything. But I know that when I get ready to break even, I've got a formula, right? The break even quantity is going to equal what?
1,000.
I just want the formula right now.
Oh,
The fixed cost divided by what?
UCM.
The UCM, the unit contribution margin, UCM. So if I come up here and I want to make this calculation, I'm going to put in my equal sign, right? And then what's the next thing I'm going to do? I'm going to click on the fixed cost, right? Put a slash in here. I'm going to click on the contribution margin. And based on this formula, it says 150 will cause us to break even. That is, when we get ready to go down here and calculate net income, this number is going to be 0. So let's see how that works. Where with our quantity sold equals what? It's going to equal the 150. We're going to multiply it by what? The selling price.
Yeah, the 250. Not 250. I mean the 2,500. And then you do the quality times 1,500 for the whatchamacallit one.
And let me delete this this out. We have 150, right? So if we have 150, jumping on me today. So let's go back here, see if we can get, it's gonna equal what? We're gonna click on the 150. We're gonna multiply it by the selling price, 2,500, right? So what are our total sales gonna be? Is that right?
375,000.
What's my cost gonna be? A similar formula, right? Equal the 150 times the 1,500 225. The contribution margin is going to equal what? In dollars, it's going to equal what? Sales minus the variable cost my fixed cost is going to be equal to what? The same as it was over here. So when I subtract the contribution margin minus the fixed cost, I get a 0. So 150 is the quantity that I need to sell so I can break even. Are there any questions on what I did? Can everybody do that?
Can you repeat what you just said? You said the what is what caused you to break even?
I had sales of 375. I subtracted my variable cost, the cost of the computers. I had 150. Then my fixed cost of 150. So my net income is 0. Break
Okay,
even is
thank you.
when net income is 0. Okay? Any questions? So I utilize this formula, break even equals fixed cost divided by contribution margin. That's the formula I utilize, okay? All right, time for y'all to work. Suppose the target loss is 100,000. How many do we have to sell so that we'll have 100,000 on this line? Can you all do that? Can we make that calculation? Okay, let's see if we can work on it. Notice that the top stays the same, but I need a quantity in here. And that quantity is going to be based on the formula. The target loss is going to equal the fixed cost minus the 100,000 target loss divided by the UCM. So if you work that out, what will it be? If you work this out,
The quality is
get a
50.
target loss. So the quantity is 50. So let's see if that works out. We're going to put in what? The fixed cost, right? Minus the
Yes.
target loss. The target loss amount was 100,000. And I'm going to put a slash in here. Then I'm going to put what in here next to UCM, right? And that's 50. We simply took the fixed cost of 150,000. We subtracted out the 100 for the target loss amount. That's left us 50,000. We divided by 1,000. We got 50. Any questions? Okay, so you all go through and work it to prove that the 50 works out. Can you all work it and prove that the 50 works out? Is 50 the right answer? So we know for the sales is going to equal what?
125,000
It's going to be the 50
times the sales, the 2,500.
times the 2,500, 125,000. The cost, we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to multiply the quantity 50 times the 1,500, and we get 75,000. Then when we subtract what? To get the contribution margin, we're going to take the sales, we're going to subtract the variable costs. Our contribution margin is 50,000. Since the fixed cost is going to be equal, it's staying the same, and this number is going to be equal to what? The 50,000 minus the 150,000. We get the $100,000 loss. So 50 does produce the 100,000. Any questions? All right, well, all of these aspiring millionaires, how many you got to sell to make $1 million? How many do you have to sell to make $1 million? Nobody wants to be a millionaire selling these computers? How many computers do you have to sell to make $1 million? We may be here to midnight tonight where you are, I tell you.
1,150.
So Robert says 1,150. Is that right, Ebony?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. I was gonna say a whole different number, but I feel like he might be.
So what's that equation going to be? It's the equation of we want to target profit. It's going to equal what? It's going to be the fixed costs plus that target profit plus the target profit, which in this case was $1 million. Let me put this in here again. The target profit is going to be equal to the fixed costs plus that target profit, which in this case was $1 million, and we'll be using $1 million all the time. What are we going to divide it by? What are we going to divide by?
1,000.
The UCM. We're always dividing by the UCM. So let's see if we can put it in here in equation format. It's going to be equal. I'm going to put double parentheses in here, and I'm going to click on the fixed costs. I'm going to go up here and click on the $1 million. And I'm going to put a slash in here, and I'm going to go up here and click on this contribution margin, close that parentheses. It's 1,150. Now, can you all prove that if we sell 1,150, we'll make $1 million? Can you all handle that? Can you all handle that? So, what's it looking like? So we know that what? Our selling price is going to equal what? Our total sales. We're going to do the same thing we were doing before. We're going to multiply the 1,150 times the 2,500, and we get 2,875,000. What's the cost of those computers? We're going to do a similar thing. It's going to be equal to what? The 1,150 times the 1,500. And then our contribution margin is simply going to be equal to sales minus the variable cost. We get 1,150,000. Our fixed cost is going to be equal to we're keeping it the same, 150,000. And so our net income is going to be equal to what?
$1 million.
Contribution minus the fixed cost a million. Are there any questions? So with that done then, with that done, I'll say if this is in class one virtual. So I've saved it now. So you all's job is now to go ahead and do option two. And how long is it going to take you to do option two?
Not that long.
What's not that long?
I don't know, not that long.
5 minutes?
Yeah, probably like 5 minutes. Yeah.
So Todd says it's going to take 5 minutes. You agree with that, Robert?
Yeah, we can try to do 5 minutes for sure.
Bethany?
No,
No.
like 8 minutes.
Oh, 8. So what about 2
Yeah,
minutes?
no, 8 minutes
All right.
would
So
be
it's
best.
6:40. I'll give you all the 6:55. 15 minutes. Because that's all you got on the quiz next week on Thursday. So 6:40. So 15 minutes. Any questions?
Yes, can you scroll down a little bit more so I can see like the whole TL thing?
Can you
Thank
see the whole thing now?
Yeah.
Okay, so 15 minutes. That's 6:55. Okay, so how we coming?
Good.
What's good?
We gotta finish.
You got it finished.
Right.
All right, so what's the break-even quantity?
Uh, 2,150.
Oh, this number, the quantity.
Yeah, 2,150.
What's the target loss quantity?
What do you mean target loss? How's the target loss?
You're supposed to have a quantity for a break-even, target loss, and make $1 million.
I got 133.33333
For which one?
for target loss, and for even break even, I got 200 quantity.
And how much you got for make $1 million?
I got 867 for quality.
Anybody else get that? All right, let's see. Our selling price is now what? What's our selling price?
I got 3,000.
3,000.
So the selling price is now 3,000. Okay. And what's our cost now? 1,500, right? Right?
Yes. Yes.
Product variable cost is 1,500. So what's our contribution margin now? What's
Would
our
it still
UC?
be 1,500
I got
or would it be
1,500.
1,000?
How much?
I got
1,500?
1,500.
Okay. Okay. So the quantities, let me see here something. Our fixed cost is how much?
300,000.
300,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at our quantities. What was our break-even quantity? Was it 200? Something
Yeah, I had
wrong.
said 200.
Yes.
200. What about the
Yeah.
target loss?
Target loss, I had 133.333.
Yeah. I thought it was wrong, but I guess I'm not.
And what was the target profit of $1 million?
867.
Well, you probably need to put those in there. Let me put this fixed cost down here, 300,000. Let's see. Our selling price is what, 2,500 now? Or is it 3,000?
3,000.
3,000.
Boy, look at that. How long did it take me?
So if we put the formulas in there, basically Excel will do it for us.
The
Yep.
CM is one
1,500.
yeah 1,500, not 1,000.
The CM is what? This
1,500.
1,500. Yeah, that should be 1,500. Like I said, what I was trying to show you all, and that's why when I went through and worked the problem the first time, I did what? I was putting the formulas in. And if you put the formulas in, then you'll be finishing 15 or 20 minutes at the end of the next class period. If you don't put the formulas in, it may take you a little bit longer. So any questions? You now have the spreadsheet. You need to work with the spreadsheet, practice on it, make sure you can, get those numbers in there. I didn't have them all in, but I put a number of them in so that you can get where you need to be. Okay, this is a situation where we buying a product. We're buying a product uh, that's already been made. But when we look at this next problem, when you make something, and if I'm making the book and I got to, I got to do this planning, if I got to go through and do this, then I got to begin to put these numbers in, okay? So it won't be one number. So it says the raw materials paper, 1 ream at 10, raw materials ink, 2 cartridges at 20, direct labor, 2 hours at 10. My selling expenses are 20% of the selling price. The manufacturing overhead is 100,000, and the administrative expenses are 40,000. So I've got 2 fixed costs that I'm gonna have to add together, and my unit selling price is 3. What's gonna be the situation if I sold 1 in this case? Okay. If I sell 1, what are things gonna look like? So a selling price multiple is 3. Okay. I'm gonna put that multiple in there for now. I got one raw material. So for the paper, it's 1 at 10. So my per unit requirement is 1. My unit cost is 10. And so putting in a formula, just gonna put in equal, shift parentheses, the 1 times the 10. I get the 10. In the next one, the ink is 2 ink cartridges at 20 each. So the quantity is 2. The unit cost is 20. And so to put that in, the formula is gonna be equal, shift parentheses, the 2 times the 20 gives you 40. The labor was 2 hours at 10, so what am I gonna do with the labor? Per unit requirement is 2, and the labor rate is 10. What am I gonna do?
Multiply.
You're gonna multiply. So in this case, the formula is gonna, and you'd have to change this if it went the other way. You can make more than 1 an hour. And so now my product variable cost, I need to clear these contents here. I'm gonna add these numbers up. When we talk about the product variable cost, put auto sum in here is $70. And then we said the selling price is what now? It's 3 times the product variable cost. So the selling price is going to equal 3 times the
Wait, I'm
product.
confused. For the labor, we divided, right?
No, we multiply.
Okay.
I'm going to have to make you work those problems again. It says 2 hours, not 2 per hour, not 10 per hour, 2 hours. We multiply. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Our selling expenses are 20% of the sales price. So it's going to be equal to the selling price times the 20%. Well, why is a minus 42? Let me clear the contents. Equal parentheses 210. So it's 42. And so now, if everything is done correctly, my contribution margin is 98. My contribution margin is 98. Let's put some fixed costs in. The fixed costs were 100,000 for manufacturing overhead. And for the administrative expense, it was 40,000. So now add up my fixed costs. I get 140,000. And so if I sold just one, the selling price is going to be equal to 210 up here. And my variable cost, total variable cost, is going to equal and so my contribution margin is going to stay this, is going to be 210 minus the 112. So it's 98. My fixed cost has to equal and so if I sold just one, my net income will be 139,902. And based on my formulas in there, look like it's gone and done the whole thing. Isn't that wonderful? Whole thing is done. So what does that mean? When you come in next time, you need that Excel spreadsheet completed with your formulas. You work it and get the formulas. Your Excel sheet, you work it so you can get those formulas in. Everybody's had computer literacy. Everybody's had Excel. You can watch the video and you see what I was doing there. But you need your spreadsheet ready. Is that clear?
So you want the spreadsheet with the formulas put in so we can be ready for the quiz.
Yes, because you're only going to have at most 30 minutes for the quiz. And it's going to look like this, okay? It's going to look like this.
Why can't we have the other option?
Because this is manufacturing accounting. And you got to do the same thing with your project. Remember y'all was showing me things that y'all were making? Y'all got to do the same thing. You got to put in there every one of your raw materials and extend it out and do this. This is, this gets into part 2 of the project. So those
Can
raw
we see the
materials,
breakdown? I'm sorry. Can we see the breakdown of this last period? Like what all the points are going to be, or is that already posted?
there's 2 things you're working on. 100 points for this period. You got a homework that's due on next class period.
Hmm.
You
Homework.
got this quiz on next class period. And you have a number of things as we move into the master budget. That's 100 points. Then the project itself is 100 points. So you're working on 200 points. 100 on regular materials such as this, then 100 on your project. Got it?
Our project is our final.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But you may have had some trouble on certain things. Okay. So you should make me a perfect project. I mean, it should be looking beautiful. You should have your marketing video. You should be impressing me to get to your 100 points. All right. So that's 100 points that's in your control. Now, I don't know what Team One's going to do. They didn't even send me anything. I guess they aren't going to work on those 100 points. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll be finishing with the project and this material
We were
probably.
told that it was sent in. Our PowerPoint was sent in.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not in.
Well, just send it in again. It may have gone to a dead file or something. Send it in again. Only one person needs to send it in, but just send it in again. So what we're doing now with the manufacturing companies, what we're doing there, that's what you got to do with your project. So you don't need to practice on selling a computer. You need to practice on making, where we're making something so you can extend that to your project, which is a separate 100 points. Got it? Now
Mhm.
you have a homework problem. I think there are about 4 problems like this. So each person on the team does one, and the team leader goes over it with the person. And the team leader also works to make sure that the person has their spreadsheet done. So I only want one set of homework turned in by the team leader with all 4 problems, and you tell me who worked on what problem. But the team leader is assisting to make sure that everybody can do the spreadsheet, can put forms in the spreadsheet, because that's going to be very, very helpful when you get on to the rest of the project. So all you got to do is put some formulas in, be able to put your numbers in and go right down there and get an answer, just like what you saw with math. So what you saw was that once I changed those numbers, it had worked everything else. So each team and team leader, you working with the members of your team, you give them a problem, you tell them to work on it, you tell them you want it coming back on an Excel spreadsheet with formulas. And we're at the stage of the course now where things got to be right. So I don't want any trying, and you know what? You got all of these substitute things in there, so I expect your homework to be right. Got it? Okay. Are there any questions? So what are you gonna have for me next time when you come to class?
The homework sheets and the have our formulas ready.
Okay. Now, with homework, those of you, homework is also what you present. So I will randomly call on teams to present one of those problems. So you need to make sure that the problem that I call on you to work is right. So you all be working. And then as we move to the project, as we move to the project, uh, every project is going to be different. Everybody's got different numbers. So someone brought up, what if you hired an accountant? Okay. So when we look at doing this part of, if you hire an accountant, what you have done is create another, you've increased your fixed costs. Okay. So your fixed cost is no longer 140, it's 190. So that's a good point. Then number 7, marketing majors. They're going to have an advertising campaign that costs 100,000. They want you to reduce the price to 175, and they would increase quantity by 1,500 books. Would you accept the proposal? If you wouldn't, why not? So on this problem, on in class 2, as you're working and getting it done, work on 7 and 8. I won't test you on 7 and 8. With 6, 7, and 8, but we'll go over it in class. But I expect everybody to be able to do the basics. Now, if I was to talk about break even and tell you to do this, that'd be one thing. But you got formulas and you got a spreadsheet. So there's no excuse why you should not be able to make an A. So that'll be a 20 point. So how the points gonna be? That's 20 points. So if you don't get the 20 points, and it's just gonna be basic. So you just gotta make up in your mind, I'm gonna learn how to do this. I'm gonna get to I'm gonna do the 20 points. And you have 20 points down. So people talking about points. Plan on getting 20 points on Thursday. Any other questions? Okay, today, we'll finish up now. I think we've had enough. But on Thursday, we'll have to go through all of these problems, then have the quiz. So it's still a chance that we may be in at 8 to 8:30, depending on, you know, what we're
So the
doing.
quiz Thursday.
Yeah, the quiz Thursday at the end of the period.
We only have this class Monday and Wednesday.
I said Thursday. Wednesday. Excuse me, Wednesday. Thank you. I kept saying it's Wednesday. I'm thinking that it's Tuesday and Thursday. I'm used to teaching that way. So on
So
Wednesday, so all let's do on Wednesday.
okay. So have the homework done and have our formulas in the Excel sheet done.
On Wednesday. And everybody on your team.
Oh, okay.
So that if I average the grade, so you're doing it so that if I average the grade to get your grade, the average is gonna look good. I might just average the grade for the team. So you need to make sure everybody on your team can do this. Got it? So I tell y'all to work with everybody and make sure they had a formula, had an Excel spreadsheet with a formula. Make sure that happens because I want everybody to have an A on Thursday. Is that possible? Is that possible? Well, all things are possible. And I said Thursday again. I mean Wednesday. So it's Wednesday. Well, you all have a good rest of your day. I will get this.
I have a question.
Yes.
I turned in the PowerPoint for my team project, but they said that you didn't have it, but I'm looking at the submission on Blackboard.
Well, sometimes Blackboard will act up and not show it. So I had everybody resubmit it.
Yeah, we did. Oh, resubmit it now?
Yeah, I think there's just resubmitted. So that could happen. So, you're not losing any points because of that.
Okay, for sure.
Issues or problems, for some reason. So just resubmit.
Okay.
So everybody, hopefully, we starting on this next period after the break, and everybody gonna start off on the good foot, not on the mercy foot, on the good foot. Okay, so you all have a good evening. Like I say, this is not difficult the way it's laid out for you. Review the videos, work the problems. Team leaders get with your team members, work with that. And let's just make sure everybody, we're gonna have a excellent class with excellent performances on Wednesday. Okay, good night, everyone.